A very good morning and a warm welcome to the Africa Energy Week for 2023.
Today, we gather here with a shared purpose to address one of Africa's most critical challenges. But before we delve into the program of the day, let us acknowledge the dignitaries present in this room. His Excellency Hage Geingob, President of the Republic of Namibia, and the esteemed dignitaries among us, Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, Captains of Industry, and honored guests. Your presence honors us all protocol observed.
Looking across the room, I must say it's a great pleasure to see a number of familiar faces who are present and yet again gathered here today to instill your ongoing commitment to the investment in energy across the African continent. We appreciate your commitment and, of course, look forward to the consequential developments that will unfold from the gatherings over the next few days. And just to put things into context with regard to the theme for the Africa Energy Conference for this year, it is titled the Africa Energy Renaissance, prioritizing energy poverty, people, planet, industrialization, and free market. Now, this underscores the importance to address energy poverty by the year 2030 and unlock new opportunities that will enable ongoing collaborative efforts and partnerships to ensure that the continent that we all call home is able to not only unlock the potential of its natural resources, but consequently of its people too.
And we're here not just for discussions, we're here for action, to drive tangible impact, commitments, not just for today, but for the generations to come.
On that note, allow us to formally introduce ourselves. I'm Gugulethu Mfupi.
And I'm Tanya Havimano, and we will be your hosts for the next 2 days.
While in a few moments we will be able to participate in the conversations and themes that will be taking place, but we must acknowledge the ongoing support and partnership of all our partners and representatives across the continent who are present here today to actively ensure that we participate within these conversations. So again, your presence is appreciated as together we will be able to make a difference.
Indeed, and nous souhaitons également souhaiter la bienvenue à nos amis francophones venus de près et de loin.
On that note, we'd also like to thank our sponsors, partners, many of whom are present here in the room and that you'll hear from in a moment, for shaping the discourse as well as the outcomes of this summit. We appreciate your ongoing efforts and your partnership is certainly acknowledged. Well, I must say, Tanya, we're looking forward to the conversations that will take place, and it's a busy one this year as there's several sidebars and thought concepts that we need to participate in.
Indeed, and we're here to foster dialogue, innovation, and collaboration, and what we're very excited about is our focus, which is clear. By 2030, ending energy poverty.
The question might be, how do we do that in a world that faces with so many complexities, but of course ongoing challenges, but the opportunities still lie within those markets. And this is why we're all here. Where entrepreneurs, financiers, and individuals like yourselves are able to earmark these opportunities and unlock them for the full growth and potential that they possess. And this potentially leads us to our first speaker, Tanya, who'll set some context, add color and detail to the passion behind not only this particular investment conference, but also understanding the African energy opportunity that exists.
Absolutely, and it's on that note that it is our immense and great pleasure to introduce to you a driving force behind this event. Please join me in welcoming Mr. NJ AYUK, Executive Chairman of the African Energy Chamber, to give the welcome address.
Good morning. Good morning. Good. We need some energy. Your Excellency, President Hage Geingob of the Republic of Namibia, First Lady, ministers, directors, captains of the industry, it is an honor to indeed be here to open Africa Energy Week. Who could have had a better opening than those young Africans that lead up this stage? Let's put our hands together for them. 3 years ago, there was a group out of London that said African discussions need to be had in Dubai and other places and not in this continent. You in this room stood loud, bold, and clear and said, it has to be done in Africa. And you kept that pledge, and you encouraged the African Energy Chamber to continue this. It is bigger than a conference. It is a movement. 4 years ago, 200,000 members. Today, with your support, 4 million strong, baby. 4 million members. 4 million coming together to deal with a bigger problem, an African problem. Climate change and energy poverty that are both sides of the same coin. 600 million Africans don't have access to electricity. 900 million have no access to clean cooking technologies, most of them women. We cannot meet our sustainable development goals without addressing these key critical issues. Energy access and energy poverty, we need to deal with that. And we will not stop as the African Energy Chamber to continue driving this issue, even when it's unpleasant to some. Across Africa, we are dealing with a time where they're telling us to stop producing oil, natural gas, coal, to move into cleaner energies. Africa is ready, but it's also time for Africa to have a reckoning. And that reckoning stands with what we do. It stands with what we see across the continent. New discoveries in countries that nobody ever thought could have discoveries. Namibia. New discoveries in South Africa. New discoveries are in Nigeria and across the continent. That tells you Africa's time is now, and I see enough international investors. We have a chance in this very moment, in this place, at this time, to select Africa, pick Africa, choose Africa, and drive up energy for its children, its people, and also be part of that global energy discourse that feeds energy security across the world. Your time is now. From frontier explorations, countries like Namibia that were once known as frontier, today are no longer frontiers, they're hotspots. I see Mike Sanster sitting there, he's very happy being here. But also countries like Senegal, Mauritania, Uganda. But we see a growing call to say, leave it in the ground, don't produce it. At the same time, we see our partners that say don't produce it, taking more coal out of Africa, producing more energy and asking Africa for its gas to power them, while we still need energy growth and energy demand. I was coming here, some of Minister Mantashe's favorite friends, the journalists, they asked me, why do you need to continue producing oil? Don't you think we can just move to something better? I said, yes, we can. But also, before moving to something better, we got to eat today. We got to drive energy today. We got to feed our people before we move to something better. That's why we welcome that we can also deal with issues around green hydrogen, around solar and wind. We are not against it. We welcome all forms of energy. That's why we call for an energy mix. It is important that we embrace that mix in this continent. As we have these discussions today, we also have to be very truthful to ourselves. We have to listen to what our young people telling us this morning. Not only do we want energy, some of us say, and you accuse me of using those 3 words of freedom, drill, baby, drill. It is needed. You cannot produce gas if you don't drill. You cannot increase production if you don't drill. So we need to do that. And we cannot turn our backs on African countries like Uganda, that when you look around and they say if Uganda produces 230,000 barrels of crude oil a day, it would be Armageddon. It would be the end of the world. That is 1.8% of the largest producer in North America. We think Uganda deserves its right to produce. We think as we welcome investors, and during this week you will be talking to a lot of them to go ahead and invest in Africa and fit into new worlds, we got to also take an honest look at ourselves. And that honest look comes from an enabling environment. It shouldn't take too long to approve a project than the time you need to build that project. Sign, baby, sign. We need to sign contracts, and we need to stop stalling on deals. We need to create an enabling environment. And that enabling environment, when we do that, it benefits Africans. It benefits young people. It benefits the deal makers. Our continent and our industry, and I love this industry so much, has not been the best to 52% of Africa's population, folks. Women are still the last hired and the first fired in our industry. We need to take legislative action to deal with that. We need to take legislative action to deal with issues around sexual harassment and abuse of women in the workplace if we want to increase women's participation. Might not be what you want to hear, but in your guts, you know it's the truth. But as we move towards a transition, we have to be bold and honest with ourselves. Leadership is needed. That's why today we're so honored to have two African esteemed leaders. President Hage Geingob, who has shown not only in action but in deed, over the last 10 years as head of state, to keep an enabling environment, to drive up industry, to be a friend of business, a friend of progressive forces that you see. With that example, Namibia has been able to really see energy growth from green hydrogen to oil and natural gas, and that is a model for Africa. You have to look at your fiscals, you have to address them, and you have to do that. We recognize an African statesman. Some people call him Chief, some people call him Baba, some people call him OBJ, some people call him the boss. President Obasanjo, we stand on the shoulders of giants. We welcome you, sir. As we have discussions about the transition, we should never forget this is about people. We should never forget the spirit of the coal miner in Mpumalanga, who got up last night, being scared, being worried about people having a discussion about a transition, not knowing what's going to happen to him. We should not forget that coal has played a big role in what we've seen to drive human civilization and to drive where we stand. Even as we transition, we cannot forget the working man. We cannot forget the little guy. We can't turn our backs on the rednecks and the roughnecks, on the oil rigs and the landsmen and those guys that go around. That's why it is important, Minister Mantashe, that we stand with oil companies when they want to shoot seismic. It's no longer acceptable that we have a strange and crazy fury around sound. Seismic producers like TGS or PGS, they're doing the right thing with the best technologies. We need to create that framework for them. But we look at a transition that works for every African. This is our chance to make a difference. I wish you the best over the next few days. If you're hungry, ask me. I love food. We got a lot of it around here. But let's go Africa, select Africa, choose Africa, invest in Africa, be bold, and don't back down on this industry. Stand with your energy producers like a junkyard dog in the face of a hurricane. Thank you so much and welcome.